Well, hey guys, welcome to Ham Radio with K0PIR, my YouTube channel. I've been having a good time with GridTracker, and I decided to try it out with Ham Radio Deluxe, and of course Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook. Right now I'm connected to my Icom 7610, and I'm using the USB cable for HRD rig control. And I've got HRD logbook pulled up. I want to set up QSO forwarding, and I have another article on my website about QSO forwarding, and I'll put the link below. But basically, it's these settings right in here, and this is my target database. I'm running not the default database that HRD logbook comes with, but you'll need to find your database, put it in there. The receive port is 2333, and that's real important. Now I've just gone ahead and selected all of these. Click OK. Now when I log with WSJT-X, it will pop up right into HRD logbook. And I also have my Callsign Lookup set up with HRD logbook. So we can go into configure and then Callsign Lookup, and you'll see that I have 4 over here, and I think these are the defaults with HRD logbook, and then qrz.com in there. I've got it in there, and it pulls up information from there. So when I log with WSJT-X, it will put in the report in the grid square, but then it sends it to HRD logbook, and HRD logbook fills in the rest. So I get the name and the location, the QTH, that gets filled in with HRD logbook. Now this video is on GridTracker, and basically I'm using GridTracker for the map and the band activity and the call roster. I have selected down here a bunch. Well, I've checked them all off, and it's going to pull up call signs, put it down here in this list, and I can just single click on one of these, and it starts the transmission. But let me back up here and go to WSJT-X. I want to show you the settings that I have in here under. Well, let's take a look at the radio tab. Now I'm using 2 cables. One is the USB cable, and that's what HRD Connect is using, and WSJT-X is using COM12, and this is a CIV cable. And I have a link in the article that I have on my website. So if you don't have a CIV cable, you can purchase an inexpensive one off of eBay, and it works really good with me. I haven't had any problems with it. The cheap one seems to be just as good as the more expensive ones. So this is set up. I have the WSJT-X controlling the radio, and I can also control it with HRD Connect. In the radio, on these Icom radios, you need to have unlinked from remote set up, and I have screen captures on my website. You can go through and take a look at those screen captures, and you'll see just what you need. I tried to keep my internal settings on the radios the same. I've added to it as I've gone along, but I haven't gone back in and changed anything or removed anything out of those settings, and they work with all of my software programs. So have a look at the screen captures page on my website if you're using the Icom radios. Alright, the next tab that's really important, well, we have the audio tab, and that's the USB audio codec. And then we have the reporting tab, which is important. And this secondary UDP server, it says it's deprecated, but I'm using it, and it's port 2333. Now that coincides with HRD logbook, that port for QSO forwarding. So that's where HRD logbook gets the data. And I also have enable PSK reporter spotting, and then I have the UDP server because GridTracker needs this to get the information, to receive the information from WSJT-X. So I'm using 2237 as the default. And that's about all you need in WSJT-X. Just remember, I'm using two cables. I'm using the USB cable for HRD, and I'm using the CIV cable for WSJT-X. That's the radio commands. It controls the radio over the CIV cable. So now let's take a look at GridTracker, and I love this program. One of the things that I've been playing around with are all the different layers that it has, and I'll go through that in just a minute, but let's take a look at the settings. And if you've seen some other articles on my website, I go through GridTracker, and I was using log for the old man, but the settings are pretty much the same. I'll show you where they're different. Now we can go over and look at the General tab. And I have 2237 in there, and that's for WSJT-X, and I'm forwarding UDP packets, messages on port 2238. Now that must be for log for the old man, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So then I have my grid square in there. I'm going with miles and decode traffic in the waterfall. And look at lookups. Now I haven't really figured out whether it is pulling information from this or if it's pulling information off of HRD logbook, because I've got Callsign Lookup enabled in it, and it's also pulling from qrz.com. So yeah, I've got it selected in here because what I want when I click on a call sign, I want the window to pop up and it'll give me the information on the call that I've got selected. I'll show you that in just a second. But anyway, I've got these selected. It opened the lookup on transmit, so when I click on the call sign, it opens up the lookup window and then it closes after I log it. So take a look at the audio tab, and I don't think I changed anything in there. I don't like hearing the audio alerts. On the map, I've changed a few things on the map, some colors. I've just been playing around with it. The default is fine. Logging, now this is different from my log for the old man video and that article. I'm not having GridTracker do any of the logging. The logging comes from WSJT-X sending it to HRD logbook, so I don't need to use this down here. That would probably double up on my contacts, and I don't need that. But what I do have in there is PSK reporter. I've got it selected. The alerts, I think, I've got some call signs in there. And the call roster, I think the maximum age may be a little bit different. I don't know if that's the default or not, but that's something you can play around with. And then the rest of this is not important in this video. So I'll close that up and I'll show you what happens when I am calling another station. You can see the QSO's going on right now, that blue line, the QSX, that's the legend. And now if I call one, let's see, there's a 9Y. I'm just single click on it and it brings up the Callsign Lookup. And that's what I like about this. That's why I have it enabled in GridTracker, because I don't get that from HRD logbook. So let me minimize this, and I'll minimize this. And I gave him a call. I'm putting out 50 watts. And let's try him again. I'm right up here transmitting in this space right here, and there's nobody in there, so I should have a clear path to him. I may need to run more than 50 watts though. One of the layers that I like is this US NextRad, and it's this one right here, this button, toggle US NextRad. and that gives the weather in the US, and that's pretty cool to look at, so I have that enabled. So that's how I've been making contacts, and I'm probably not going to get a contact with him. I'm going to go ahead and halt it, and we'll see if something else pops up, maybe something a little bit closer. There's a N3FR, and he's not showing up down here in my call roster, so I won't click on that. But let's take a look at some of the layers. This is the call roster, and this changes between the balloons and the grid squares. And I've been playing around. I like the balloons, looking at those. But another one, this is online and offline mode, and I've been using offline mode quite a bit because I had internet access. But the one right next to it is the gray line, and you can see that it will put the gray line in there. And that just turns the legend on and off. Let me see, what's another one? Oh, this one, the lightning strikes. I like to see that if there is. If I zoom in, we may see some lightning strikes in there. And I've got it enabled, so if it's a bright color, then it's enabled. If it's a gray color, it's disabled. So let's see, I think the moon, that one's kind of hard to tell. Okay, so I had it enabled. And we'll find the moon, it's around here somewhere. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is, right over here in Africa. Right over there. And I'm using the grid squares, the 6, because if I put it on the 4, I'll move it back over here. You'll see that it moves. And the 6 is just more accurate. So that's showing. And then, of course, the settings and ADF, what this is pulling up right here, this number is coming out of my WSJT-X log file, and that's really what I want to see. And let's see, I think, oh yeah, the PSK spots. Let's see, I did call, so let's see if I got some spots in here. Yeah, these little orange circles are spots, and they come from PSK Reporter. There's somebody spotted me there. KN4 NBJ, and I'm getting out to the east coast. Looks like that's the way the propagation is going for me on this antenna. So that's pretty useful. I can see where I'm getting out to. And then this is PSK, the 24-hour. I can click on that, and a bunch more popped up. It loaded those in there. So a few more popped up. I was on here yesterday on 17 meters. And let's see, the time zone, you can play around with that. I don't really need to use it. The US NextRad, that's the one I like. And you can toggle the grid overlay, which gets kind of busy when you're zoomed out. If you zoom in some, you can a little bit better in there. But that's just too much for me. And then this is a real neat one. This one, right now I don't have any of the GridTracker people showing up on the map, but if I click on it once, it shows all the GridTracker people. Click on it one more time, I think this is just all that are on the band right now. So I usually have that one set up, and I can see with the little flags. And I haven't played with messaging yet, but it's been a lot of fun, and having this map works really well. It logs really well from GridTracker WSJT-X over into HRD logbook, and I haven't really had any problems with it. But you know, I haven't had any problems because I'm using 2 cables. If I were using HRD logbook or HRD Ham Radio Deluxe for the radio, and I've done that quite a bit, or for the rig, I've done that quite a bit, and I've had problems with it. So I just gave up on it. I'm just using 2 cables. Now, if you're using the virtual serial ports emulator, you know, that'll probably work too for you. I just try to stay away from the software whenever I can, and the software kind of utilities whenever I can. So the 2 cables is working really well. And again, I have an article on my website, www.k0pir.us. And I've got an article using HRD logbook. I've got one for log for the old man, and then of course GridTracker, a few out there for GridTracker. And I've got links and screen captures that you can have a closer look on that. So if you have any questions or comments, please make them below. I really appreciate all the comments I get, and I'll answer all of them. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get back to you, but this January I'm going to be on the road, so yeah, it's going to take a little while for me to get back to the comments. But I really do appreciate it. And like I said, if you have any questions, just make them below or on my website. If you send me an email, other people really don't benefit from that. So try to use YouTube comments or comments on my website. Alright, so that about does it. I hope you're enjoying these last few articles on GridTracker. It's a lot of fun. It's great. I really enjoy it. But next thing I'm going to be working on is mobile and portable. I've got a new truck, or a different truck, and I'm going to be pulling my camper with it. I don't have a radio set up in the truck for now, and I haven't been using the radio in the Hummer because it's hard for me to drive and talk on the radio at the same time. If a lot of you might recall, I had a stroke in 2019, so I really have to pay attention to the road. I can't do two things at once. But anyway, I can pull over and talk on the radio, and I like to do that, especially if I hear a station that I know or a station that I want. It's fun to pull over and just give a shout out. So, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends. 73 and good DX.